And welcome back to Comcast Newsmakers. I am Steve Swat. In this segment, we're going to talk about some of the great, fabulous state parks in the state of California and a documentary about them. And we're going to be speaking to David Vassar, who is a documentary film producer. David, thank you very much for being with us.
My pleasure.
So this project, obviously the timing of this project is amazing because we've had a number of state parks slated for closure. Most, all but one, really have been at least temporarily reprieved, but this project has been, what, 4 years in the making?
Yeah, we had I was just doing the background work this morning, but we had our first meeting in October of 2008. We started shooting in March of 2009.
But it was an incident in Southern California that got you thinking about this project.
Yeah, there were a couple of things. I used to make films for the National Park Service. I used to work in Yosemite as an interpretive ranger. So, you know, if you had told me when I was 19 or 20 years old that, 40 years later I would be making a film to remind people why parks are important, I would have told you that that seemed a little silly because I assumed everyone thought parks were important. But I think what really triggered it for me was when the Orange County Toll Road Authority had plans to put a 6-lane toll road through San Onofre State Beach. And there was a reasonable conversation about whether or not they should do this. And my immediate reaction was, if we're having a reasonable conversation about putting a 6-lane toll road through a state park, then there was something wrong with the conversation, and maybe it was time to make a film to remind people of the legacy of parks, the importance of the historic sites that they protect, and how much it has to do with being a Californian.
Well, California Forever is the name of the documentary. It's in 2 parts.
Two 1-hour shows. The first hour is about the history of state parks. The second hour is about the future of parks, which is everything from park closures to native species disappearing, competition for recreation over preservation. They're 2 completely different movies, but the subject matter ties them together.
And I know this documentary is going to air in the fall on the various PBS stations in California. Give us a few highlights.
Well, I think one of the things that happened is that I knew a lot about the history of national parks, but I didn't really know about the California State Park story. I didn't know that Yosemite, although it was set aside by Abraham Lincoln in 1864, is California's first state park. It was run by the state from 1864 to 1906. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at Big Basin near Santa Cruz, a beautiful redwood park, that it was single-handedly sort of organized and pushed through the legislature by a photographer, a guy named Andrew P. Hill, who was down shooting at a private grove of trees owned by a hotel. The owner of the hotel came out and said, you have to give me your negatives because this is private property. You don't own these trees, and if you want to take pictures of them, you have to pay me a certain amount of money. And Andrew Hill said, you can't have my negatives. And on the way back to San Francisco on the train, he said, I think I'm going to dedicate myself to creating a park of these beautiful trees. And he single-handedly ran the legislation through both the State Assembly and the State Senate. The governor initially vetoed his bill to set aside Big Basin State Redwoods Park. He went to Sacramento with a portfolio of photographs that he had shot with his big 8x10 camera, and basically single-handedly convinced the state legislature, overrode the governor's veto, and got the park set aside. It's a wonderful story.
Of course, these days he'd probably need a lobbyist and make campaign contributions to half the legislature.
Right, or spend $1 million making a movie to remind people why the parks were important.
Right.
So
we only have a few seconds left,
sure.
But this documentary really is taking a look at our heritage and the legacy of these parks.
Yeah, it's a reminder to California what an incredible legacy it is, how valuable they are, and how much people have sacrificed over the years to set these places aside.
Great. Well, David Vassar, thank you very much for coming by. Best of luck with the documentary in the fall. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And thanks to our viewers for watching Comcast Newsmakers. We hope to see you next time.